Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for everyone in the organizing team and for everyone of the participants bearing with us on a Saturday. So the session that we're combinedly gonna present to you is combining AI and Fabric to fight food waste. And this is something that Alex and me we did for an event earlier this year. But before we dive into that, let's do a quick introduction first. So who am I? Christian Todte. I'm a Fabric architect at Allgeier. I've been working with data visualization and with data in general and Fabric for a couple of years now. Still in love with it. So this is really something that I like to do. I guess this goes for all of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on a Saturday. And yeah, in my spare time, love cooking. So this is a little hint for the use case. So we took something of ourselves to bring into this, and also playing around with all technical kinds of technical gadgets. This is what I really love to do. And I'm here with Alex.
Yeah, hello guys. So I'm head of data analytics at Allgeier in Switzerland. I've been well in love with data for a very long time. 15 years and Microsoft certified trainer. Used to come from the SharePoint space. Then, of course, excellent SharePoint, performance point in SharePoint, and I migrated to Power BI, and the latest, of course, is Fabric. And that platform is just absolutely fantastic. It just blows my mind what it can do, what organizations can do with it, and where the roadmap is going. And I really hope we can show you a little bit of inspiration today on where you could take your own Fabric journey. Right now, both Christian and I are actually on holiday. So we've taken some time out of our holidays. I'm in London right now. Christian's in the Netherlands, and I like to go outside, do geocaching, hunting for little treasures around different countries with my 8-year-old daughter. And yes, I've got quite a few certificates as well. I think if you press the next slide, they're going to turn up. Now, a little word behind these. Being a Microsoft certified trainer means you have to actually have a certificate before you teach a course. And I've taught a lot of courses. So that's the reason why I'm highly certified in, as you might suggest, all things Microsoft. Let me hand over to Christian to talk about the architecture that we actually put together for you guys today.
Yep, perfect. Thanks a lot, Alex. So as for the use case, like I mentioned, we did this thing for a little event earlier this year, which some of you might have heard of or have seen before, the Microsoft Fabric Global AI Hackathon. That's a long one. So for the hackathon, we came up with an idea where the idea was to combine something that we found ourselves, and we found a little bit of frustration with it. And to solve this using AI and Fabric, that was the idea. And the situation that we were facing that was so frustrating to us was something that you might know yourselves as well. When you are standing in front of your fridge, right, and then you lean down to check in the back of the fridge what's there, what's sitting on the bottom shelf, left corner behind some cans, or whatever you have in your fridge. Oh, there's some yogurt or chicken breast that you totally forgot that you have. Hopefully not the chicken breast, because that might be bad if you forget it in your fridge. But something that expires, right? And this is something that happens, at least for me. This is a situation, that I'm familiar with. And then you're always like a little bit, okay, now you bought this food, you forgot to make it, or you forgot you had it, and you have to throw it out now. This is not really what you want to do, and this is not so nice. And to address this situation, we thought, okay, how can we do this using using Fabric and AI. And this is the architecture that we came up with. So we built a little solution that helps you keep track of all the stuff that you have in your fridge, and helps you even use up everything that you have in your fridge, all the ingredients, by not only tracking the expiration dates, but by giving you suggestions of what you can make of it. And this is the overview, the overall architecture that we used. So what we did is we combined a lot of different aspects of Fabric, a lot of different aspects of the Power Platform. So we use a little bit of Power Automate, Power Apps, and a lot of Fabric, a lot of notebooks, and yeah, we just want to dive into this and show you a little bit. So the starting point was something to record what do you have in your fridge, right? So we started with a Power App and a barcode scanner that lets you scan products and articles and sends them to a fridge, so to a Lakehouse. And in this Lakehouse, we already have an inventory, or let's say a list of all the food that you could buy. This is the Open Food Facts database. And the Open Food Facts database contains, I think it's around 3 million items that you can scan. You have the barcodes, and then you just scan the barcode and compare, okay, the barcode that I scanned belongs to this kind of product, we want to check how long is the expiration date, or how long until this expires. We do a little bit of magic, and then we write it into the Lakehouse. And I don't want to just talk about it. I want to show you how it works. So I will share my screen. Just give me a second. Hopefully you can see my screen now. Perfect.
One of the things I'd just like to emphasize here as well is we really wanted to showcase how Fabric can interact with the wider ecosystem. So it's not only seeing Fabric as a data platform, but actually seeing it as a cog in the bigger workings of any kind of workflow, any kind of process that you might want to think about. So here, of course, we've got Power Automate to capture data. We've got Power Apps to capture data. We've got Power Automate to control the flow of data and send notifications. We've got Fabric itself, the warehouse component to deal with large data models, but also the AI Python capabilities. So the real beauty behind this whole showcase is that it really combines a whole bunch of tools together, not just Fabric, for you to see how you can fit it into your own solutions as well.
Yeah, and Alex just pasted the link to the GitHub repository. So if you want to, after the session, follow along or have a look at it, there's lots and lots of documentation on there. There's videos, so a step-by-step guide that you can go through. We're just going to do a quick run-through so that you understand what we had in mind with the solution. So first thing that we do is we're creating a workspace for all the things to live in. Data toboggan, perfect. And within this workspace, we need a couple of things. And the first thing that we want to bring in is actually a notebook. So I'm just going to import a notebook that I prepared, or we prepared. And this is the import Open Food Facts. And before I'm going to talk a little bit more about the architecture, again, I want to start this because this takes a second. Let's have a look at the notebook. So what we're doing is we're getting the Open Food Facts database from the static Open Food Facts org data URL. We're writing it into a Lakehouse, and then we're extracting the data that's in there, and we're creating a Delta Parquet table so that we can actually scan the table and use this again in our flow to identify, okay, which are the barcodes that I just scanned. So I'm just going to run this. To run this, I actually need to add a Lakehouse. And let me just quickly. There we are. So we want to add a new Lakehouse. naming. Now we're connected to our Lakehouse that we just created, and we can run this. And then let this run for, I think it runs for a couple of minutes the last time that we did it. So like I said, what it does, it just downloads the CSV file and then unpacks it so that we have actually access to it later on. So we have in the files the zip and the CSV zip, and here we have the table that contains all the data. Going back to the architecture. Okay. There we go. Going back to the architecture. This is the first thing that we did. So we have our product Lakehouse, and we're bringing everything in, right? That's not enough. So what we have to do then is create, and in the first iteration of doing this, we created a second Lakehouse, which is really not needed. We just need a second table, right, in our Lakehouse to hold the data that is in our fridge, because we have the large list of products that we potentially have, but now we need to check what we actually have in our fridge. So the things that we do is we create a second table and then write into the second table everything that we're buying, and we're doing this via a Power App, like we mentioned, and I want to show you that as well. Just a second. There we go. So this is the not super refined but working UI of the app, because obviously we did it as a POC, so nothing went into creating a nice UI, but it's functional. And what we have is a barcode scanner, so that we can really scan the barcode. We have some sort of image recognition, which is not really too refined at this point. So this
one uses the AI builder. So the AI builder, as part of Power Apps, uses the old classical cognitive services API to be able to identify pictures and classify them. I would say it's got a roughly 70% accuracy rate of trying to figure out what's in front of it. You could, in theory, also use GPT-4 Vision if you wanted to, but for this demo, we just use the AI builder capabilities that are built into the platform.
Okay, so what I have here, and I just want to show you how it works. So I've got my phone, I've got the app running on my phone, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan a product, because this is how we're going to get products into our database, right? So right here, I said we're in the Netherlands. You might be able to see it's licorice. So if in Holland, you need to buy licorice, I guess. This is the product that we're going to scan. Let's try this. And I'm just going to use my barcode scanner. It picks up the barcodes, and then I use the log product. So I'm logging the product, and now the interesting stuff happens, because now we can go back to our workspace, and we have our add to fridge notebook. So this is the second notebook that we're using, and the second notebook that we're using, let's go through it real quick. We just import the necessary libraries, start everything up. We have a parameter block that is overwritten by what we have within the what we just scanned within the app, right? And the answers that we get from the app, we're looking up the barcode and checking for the product name. If the product name is found, what we then do is we have a key vault so that we don't expose anything, or we have a better security setup, so to speak, and that we don't need to expose any any keys within our code, obviously. And we're just addressing the Azure endpoint, the OpenAI endpoint, and we have our prompt here. And what we're telling OpenAI or ChatGPT to do is that he's a food concierge, or it is a food concierge, and it needs to tell us how many days the product that we just scanned lasts in our fridge or lasts until it expires. And we played around with this a little. You see, we're getting quite particular. So we're giving it an example. More about that later. Alex will go a bit into it, I guess. But we need to really pinpoint it down a bit to get a proper response, because otherwise this will be all over the place. So sometimes it's just 1 week or 2 weeks, right? So we can get different answers back, and we want it in days, so that we just get a consistent answer that we can use, right? It still doesn't do that. So even though we try to pinpoint it down to get it to consistency, sometimes we need to exchange and do some processing of the data so that we can get a clean answer. And here's the cleanup response that we're getting. And with the cleaned up response, we are writing it into our fridge contents table. And so the one that I scanned should be here. Yep, we can see that. Let's have a look at the item snapshots. What it does, it asks, and we should be able to, so pantry 180 to 365 days. This is what we get for our for the licorice. So perfect. Let's see if Jupes, that's the name of the licorice, just to verify. So it doesn't say licorice, but Jupes. This is the name, and this gets written into our Lakehouse. And let's check that. It's the Foodwaste, the fridge contents.
There they are, the Jupes at the top.
Fridge contents.
So the idea here is sometimes you might be scanning a product like an apple or a pear or some cucumbers or some capsicum. You might not actually have an expiry date available to you. So asking Gen AI, saying, "Hey, by the way, this is an apple. What can I expect for an expiry date?" Is going to help us then on the later stage to then figure out which products are about to expire, to then come up with some cool recipe ideas.
Okay. So as for the demo, let me go back to the workspace that we just created, where I imported the data, and this seems to be still running. Or no, this should be.
Check tables.
Nothing in tables, nothing in files. Okay, sure. This is the right one.
I'll just do an F5 quickly on your browser. Sometimes it takes a bit longer.
Okay. Just a second, checking. It's still running. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So not to get hung up on that. Yeah. We don't need that for now. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to load our notebook that lets us generate data, because I don't want to scan just a bunch of stuff right now, and you have to wait and look at me, pointing my camera at stuff. So let's just generate some data, and we have our data generation here. So this is just some milk, eggplant, chicken, so some basic basic ingredients, and of course we need to add it to the existing Lakehouse. This is here. This should do the trick. And then let's run this. This should be rather quick. And this takes our data so that we have our fake inventory, basically, that we can show you the next steps with. Okay, looks good. Then let's have another look here.
No, it's not finished yet.
Okay, yeah, this is to be expected, right? So live demos never really
do what you want them to.
Yeah.
So the one job that's running in the background is effectively importing a whole bunch of possible products. We came across the Open Food Fact database a couple of years ago when we were trying to help a customer classify all of their potential products. So these were products that were coming in from all kinds of different suppliers, and they wanted to benchmark a pricing structure across all of these tins of tomatoes and cucumbers and jars of Nutella. And the Open Food Facts database proved to be a very good source to help us build a machine learning model to classify these products and categorize them. So that was classic machine learning that we used it for. And in this case, we also used it to, hook it up with a barcode scanner to figure out what product did let us scan in. So it's a very useful tool.
Okay. In the meantime, we loaded the fake contents of our fridge, so we filled it rather quickly. Nice quick shopping trip. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new semantic model on it, because what we want to do with this now is we want to create a reflex on it, so the data activator, so that we can use a measure that we're going to write to identify the products that are going to go bad. So let's supervisors model. Okay, workspace. This is the right workspace. We're going to use the fridge contents, and the model is going to be super simple, because there's not really much to do. We just want to grab the expiration dates and do some basic calculations on them. And we're actually gonna do a concatenation of all the things that we have in the fridge, so that we can use that later on when we're creating the mail that gets sent to you with all the recipes. And we can show you which products are going to go bad. So this is the model that we're having, and we're just going to create quickly create a new measure. These are the measures. Like I said, really nothing super complicated, just checking the expiration date. Okay, perfect. There it is. And then the concatenation. For the ingredients. Perfect. So we have that in here. We have the expiries in X days and the ingredients, and we're going to build a new report based on this. And also the report is nothing to look at, to be honest. It's just a simple list, basically, of all the products that we have and the expiration dates, and to make it easier, also the expiries in X days. So we see, okay, this is what we can use, and there's a couple of things that already went bad. So, this is not the ideal case, but this
don't
is
need
what
those
we have in our fridge now. And with this now, we're gonna set an alert and create a data activator, and have this be our trigger for sending the recipes and getting the recipes. So I'm just gonna quickly create this here. We're gonna use the action send a mail or message me in Teams. Doesn't really matter for now, because we're gonna save it later on. We're gonna change it later on anyways. So I'm just gonna send a mail, and we want to create a custom trigger or a custom action. So now we go into data activator, and we're not going to send a mail, but what we want to do is, you can see here, we want to create a custom action. So we're going to create a custom action, and with the custom action, so send notification. We want to copy this connection string, and this is the connection string that we're going to put on into our flow. I'm going to quickly move over to the flow. And this is the flow that actually gets our recipe. So whenever now in our data model, sorry, just quickly let me rebuild this. In our data model, the expiration goes beyond the threshold that we defined. We're going to use data activator to send the trigger so that we trigger this flow, get the shelf life and name for the required ingredients, get the shelf life and name for all the ingredients that we have in our fridge, and then send a request to OpenAI, and in the end, send a mail so that we get now a recipe, the idea of recipes that we can create with it.
Okay. Let me just quickly take over from here. So quick recap. So the idea here is we scan the products into our virtual fridge, and once they reach their use-by date and they're just about to go off, we want to use them up. So we thought we'd use AI to generate cool recipes for us. As Christian just showed, the idea here is we need to figure out which are the ingredients I have to use before they're used up. I've got a whole bunch of other ingredients I could use. And through a bit of prompt engineering, we also were able to say, you're allowed to maybe add 1 or 2 ingredients as well. Maybe I'll just quickly pop down and get some flour to make those cool tortillas that I need to make to use up my chicken if I want to make fajitas or something like that. So the idea here was get the AI to help us come up with some really good recipes that we can use. It'll send us those recipe ideas before the food actually expires, so that we can cook it up with very little hassle and make sure that we don't throw away any food from our fridge. Now, as Christian already showed you, the reflex is the part that's going to trigger. The reflex is the one that says something's changed. Now, you can create reflexes based on streaming data, or you can create a reflex based on a measure in a semantic model. And that's what Christian just showed you, saying here's a measure, and that measure changes every day. And if that measure then changes and the value reaches a threshold, like in this case, if that expires in X days becomes less than 5, and please do it each time. So as soon as it happens, the trigger actually executes. And I've got a trigger execution here on the 13th of July at 9 o'clock. As an example, that's what happened. And I've got a slightly different list of ingredients now that I'm playing with. That then triggers. Now, what does it trigger? By default, the email on this case, this custom action that I created here. Now, a little trick as well, in the GitHub repo that we've actually shared the whole solution file. So the solution file also includes the Power Automate flow that's actually available for you guys. Now, this is a simplified version. A simplified version of the same flow that Christian just showed. You have to put in the connection string that he showed to you into this connection string box when you create the flow. Now, what happens is when you create a new custom action, it'll pop up a new designer for you to create a new Power Automate flow. You don't actually need that. You can actually take any existing flow that you have that's got a data activator trigger and just replace the connection string with the one that's given to you in the Fabric prompt, and that will then hook up this Power Automate flow with the reflex. Here I'm just saying we're just firing off some DAX queries against Power BI. So this is using the classic Power BI API, throwing out a DAX query, give me all the ingredients, and then let's store that. So these, I'm just taking the top two in this case. I'm just making 2 optional ingredients. These are my required ingredients. So those ones that are below 5, but more than 0, let's not use those aubergines. Nope, sorry, too late for those. Minus 9 days. I won't include them in my recipe idea. And these are, I'm now storing these as required ingredients. And this is the fun part. This is the prompt that effectively says, okay, please go ahead and generate some really nice recipe ideas. Now you'll notice here, this is effectively a 0-shot request at the AI. I'm just telling him what the role of the AI is, describing the process, and then effectively saying these are your required ingredients and these are your optional ingredients. And 0-shot, of course, will give you different results every single time, depending on partly depending on your temperature. So an important part here is to figure out what temperature you want to use. You can use between 0 and 2, and the higher the number, the more creative it'll become, and the lower the number, the less creative it will be, and it'll always try to stick to the same kind of answer. So that's another way you can actually try to control your AI. And right at the end, we want to send out an email saying, hey, by the way, these are the products about to expire, and here's some great recipe ideas. So to show you how that actually works, I can run a test alert from this reflex. And if I now go into my emails, here's one that I fired off just a few minutes ago before we started the session, saying, okay, so I've got some pita bread, some falafel mix, I've got some vegetable stock. How about and you've got some chicken breast still in the fridge. How about you create some grilled chicken with yogurt sauce with instructions and ingredients? Or here's eggplant and tomato falafel wrap. Here are your ingredients. Or here's a Greek salad with grilled chicken. These are ingredients and these are instructions. So he adds a couple of extra ingredients that might not necessarily be there. The idea is it does have to taste good. And if I've only got 5 things in my fridge, I might not have enough to make a good recipe. But at least I can use them with some extra ingredients to make a really, really good recipe. And I think I've just gotten a new set. So same ingredients, different idea. Yeah, so these are grilled chicken and veggie skewers, vegetarian falafel wraps, and chicken eggplant parmesan. As different ideas on what I could do with my food before it actually expires. Now, if I want to take more control over what kind of recipes get created, if I want to be more specific about the style of cooking that I really, really like. I'm a big fan of Asian style cooking, or actually Asian fusion style cooking is something I love to experiment with. And you might actually be vegetarian or vegan as well. So you might actually want to make sure that the master chef that you've now activated in the background will generate recipes that fit your cooking style. So there's a little bonus to this little project. We also added a Python notebook that allows you to fine-tune your own little master chef. So the Git repo will have a file that you can use to effectively fine-tune your own model, and you can adapt that as well, that file that you can use. And then you can run the fine-tuning directly from the Python notebook here, and it will fine-tune in OpenAI. Now, a little tip for anybody that's played with OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. If you do this currently in OpenAI, you can fine-tune a model and it's not going to cost you anything apart from the process of fine-tuning it. Then it just sits around and waits to be used, and then you pay for it when you're using it. If you create a fine-tuned model in Azure OpenAI, the moment you start using it, it actually provisions the model and you start paying for every single minute that that model is available. So be careful doing this in Azure OpenAI. You might run through a lot of money in a very short period of time. Make sure you deprovision your models in Azure OpenAI if you're not using them. So as usual, we've got a parameter block. So we're now getting our API key from the key vault. This is just good manners to make sure you don't ever store any keys in your source code. The GitHub repo doesn't have any keys available. You have to store them somewhere in a secure place. A key vault is a great place if you're working in Azure. Here's my Chef training JSON file that we're going to be using. We're downloading it directly from GitHub, so you can use this file yourself. And then I'm using this file to effectively train a new model. First thing, we actually download the file and then give the file to OpenAI. So we're uploading the file here to the OpenAI backend API service and telling him we want to use this file for fine-tuning purposes, please. And then we start fine-tuning the model. And I'm also just checking the current job status. So it takes a few minutes. I'm not going to run through this. It took quite a few minutes the last time. One time it took over an hour because we were being throttled, but within roughly 6 minutes, this will run through. There's just a nice little loop that loops through and just double checks the job status. And after roughly 6.5 minutes, the job has completed, and we can start using this newly trained model. And here we've now got saying, okay, you're now my cooking assistant specializing in vegan recipes, and your cooking style is Mediterranean Asian fusion, similar mix between Jamie Oliver and Joan Molinaro, if you know those cooks. And you were given a set of ingredients and respond with a great tasting recipe, including those. And here's an example: capsicum, flour, soy sauce, chili, cheese, and broccoli. So that's the kind of ingredients I'm expecting. And then he generates a Mediterranean Asian fusion vegan stuffed capsicums. No, I have not tried out this recipe, but I am planning at one point in stage my next holidays to actually see how good these recipes are that these different MasterChef variations can create. So that kind of wraps up. I think we've got Q&A until Q2, so we've got a few more minutes until Q2 for Q&A.